UFC is coming back to Canada this weekend, my boys, and it's UFC Vancouver time, all right? Today, I'm giving y'all my predictions and breakdown for the entire full card here, all right? Headlined by Jourdain versus Fluffy, or I almost said Fluffy, there we go. I would have preferred that main event, but it's Brendan Allen stepping in, and we're living in a timeline where Canada is actually getting a pretty good fight night. I know that's kind of coveted as the country where UFC just consistently gives them apex cards, but with a crowd, but it seems like this is a better lineup than Rio and Perth and all that, so I'm excited for this one. It's a solid fight night, and today I'm giving y'all my full card predictions and breakdown for it, all right? So just getting into the first one we got. Azamat Bekoev, he's back. Our little Russian Paulo Costa here. He's taking on Yusri Belgaroui, making his official UFC debut. And would you believe that this fight, of all things, we've been waiting months for it, okay? Bekoev hasn't fought since May. This fight was booked for some random August Apex event, and it got randomly pushed back to be the first fight of this card months later. It is what it is. Bekoev's a huge favorite. I like the guy a lot. He's funny as hell, and I was there live for his last performance, and it was great to see, okay? I'm going with Bekoev, man. All day, this dude is well-rounded. His grappling and his ground and pound, it's mean, it's aggressive, it's the ruthless aggression from John Cena, okay, when he had the prime buzz cut and all that shit. But I'm just saying Bekoev, I think, is going to get the hell after it. Belgaroui, 8-3 record. He's never been finished. All of his losses come from being dragged out to the distance, which Bekoev can do, but he's a finishing artist, man. Again, he sets a heavy pace from the start. He gets the fuck after it. Well-rounded, decent striking, good pop behind his shots, and I feel like he's going to hunt for an early finish. So I'm going with Bekoev by implementing some mean ground and pound, maybe some kind of submission, maybe some kind of knockout on the feet. Like, there's a reason why he's a big favorite. I feel like that this guy has the potential to have a lot of momentum shift towards him, okay? He has a very well-rounded skill set. He fits the middleweight division well. He's quick up there. And for Belgaroui, he's a bit one-dimensional. Like, he's not a bad fighter by any means. He's got a big size discrepancy here. He's got the advantage in terms of his height and his reach, okay? But Bekoev, this little baby zombie from Minecraft, who's just going to run at him. I think that even though Belgaroui has solid power in his own right, obviously most of his wins come from knockout, and I think against Bekoev, maybe he can do that, but I think Bekoev's going to be able to match him in terms of the power and the striking, okay? So I think Bekoev, I sense a round 1 or 2 finish via whatever the hell he wants, okay? Maybe this might age poorly, but there's nothing in Belgaroui's game that really stands out here to where I think he's going to beat Bekoev of all things for his UFC debut, okay? It's a rough debut, but it is what it is. I think Bekoev's going to go on a mean streak here, okay? Moving on up next to Kyle Prepolec versus Drew Dober. Talk about one of the locks here, man. Okay, we got the Crimson Chin, the White Crimson Chin, the Crimson Chin, taking on Kyle Prepolec, who I'm questioning how this guy even got a UFC contract besides he stepped in for the BSD fight, very short notice, after not fighting, I believe, for a couple of years or beyond, and then obviously BSD beat the fuck out of him, got him out via submission, and now here he is once again in that Canada crowd, and my point with this is I just don't understand that 18-9 record, regardless of the circumstances, how this guy's fighting in the UFC besides the UFC kind of paying him back, doing a little bit extra favors. Yeah, what was the question? Prepolec, we're gonna give this kid a prelim spot against Drew Dober, okay, in his home country. But Dober, I think, is gonna take this one, man. He's the finishing artist here. He's the better striker here. I think he could implement this fight into the clinch in wrestling if he wants to. Prepolec, there's just nothing that really stands out in his game, man. He's the same age as Dober, but Dober at least is that UFC level, that unk to where, yes, he can get knocked down multiple times in a row, but he'll always rely, we can always rely on fans that Drew Dober's going to get that knockout eventually, okay? He'll get that finish eventually, okay? And yes, he's getting more up there in age, but these guys, man, like, this is a pretty winnable fight here for Dober. Like, on paper, they just have really similar physical features here, but in terms of their skill set, I feel like Dober's much more aggressive, much more polished in terms of his striking, his precision, and all of that. I feel like he throws more output. I feel like he's the more accurate striker, and I feel like that dome of a fucking chin that he has is going to be able to help him survive against anything that Prepolec's going to throw against him on the feet, okay? Dober can be prone to get knocked the hell out at this stage in his career. He can get very scrappy, really loves to be in the pocket, loves to bring a dogfight out of guys, and he has like 40 plus pro fights, okay? A shit ton of experience, okay? It's like the Anthony Smith that we kind of tolerate a little bit more, but regardless of that, I think this unk, there's a reason why he's the big favorite. I think he's going to get it done. Prepolec is just, it's an unfair matchup in my opinion. If he gets it done, that's going to age terribly, Prepolec that is, but I just can't see how he gets it done, man. I can see Dober fucking out wrestling him, out striking him, out powering him on the feet, so I don't know, man. I'm going with Dober via a round 1 or 2 TKO, man. I'm going to stand my base on that, all right? Not really controversial, but it is what it is. Moving on up next to Danny Barlow versus Jourdain Santos. I'm going with Danny Barlow here, okay? And I think that this fight's a little bit closer than the betting odds indicate, but I'm going with Barlow regardless, man. He's got the slight height and reach advantage here, and I just rate his striking kind of above a guy like Santos. These guys are pretty similar in terms, yes, like they have a similar record and they don't have too much experience in the actual UFC itself, but I feel like Barlow has proven to us that he has power behind his goddamn hands. And yes, while he's going to these split decisions with like Nikolai Vera and Tennikov, that's very concerning. And he's coming off of a brutal knockout loss to Sam Patterson. But before that, man, he was 3-0, 2-0 in the UFC, and losing to Sam Patterson isn't anything to diss him over, okay? Danny Barlow, he's coming off a loss for sure, but he was undefeated before that, and I think he'll be able to bounce back. Santos, a bit less experience in the UFC, but he lost his debut, so he's 0-1, but he seems a bit more well-rounded. Like, he seems like he's more comfortable to implement the grappling, but Danny Barlow has 100% takedown defense in the UFC, and I feel like that's going to hold up against if Santos is going to come in, trying to mix it up with the grappling, try and spend a lot of time in the clinch. I feel like that Barlow's going to be pretty efficient at keeping this fight, and just in terms of a standing battle, and I feel like that's going to favor him. I rate his striking and his power just better, and I feel like he's pretty durable to where I don't think Santos has the same power or finishing instinct really as a guy like Sam Patterson, okay? So I'm going with Barlow to get back in the win column and maybe get some kind of 29-28 decision or kind of a round 2 knockout here, okay? I'm going with Danny Barlow to beat Santos. Moving on up next to Bruno Silva versus Young Sung Park. We got another bang on our hands here, my boys, and I'm going with Young Sung Park, all right? Pretty sizable favorite, and Bruno Silva, I just can't pick him at this stage in the game. Like, yes, picking Joshua Van over him is a different story. I love Joshua Van, great prospect to invest in. And Young Sung Park, very short and sweet UFC appearance, okay? Like, it seemed like we only saw a fight or two out of him, and he looked great. He has a really, he had that undefeated 10-0 record, but he gets the very short notice opportunity in the apex of all things to take on a top 5 Tetsuro Taira, okay? In a bit of a Korea versus Japan matchup here. And honestly, like, it was just so random. It was so short notice. It was such a massive step up in competition to where, yes, Taira submitted Park in 2 rounds, but I think Taira is a bit of a step above a Bruno Silva. Like, Taira is one of the best prospects to invest in for the division. Can't even really call him a prospect anymore. You know what I mean? He's taking on Brandon Moreno next, but Bruno Silva, man, 14-7-2. That's his record. And like I was saying going against Fan, in the buildup, there's nothing really in Silva's game that really stands out. Like, he can hold his own in the grappling and in the scrambles. He can hold his own with his kickboxing. He's got decent kicks, but I'm just saying there's so many rounds that just slip away from Silva, or he can just be finished. He could be outstruck, he could be outgrappled. On paper, man, he is a good fighter, you know what I mean? But he's a bit short for the weight class. I don't think he has the necessary thud and, I guess, finishing instinct to really take out a guy who's as hungry and on the rise and has as much momentum as Park. I mean, I'm not saying that Park is like the craziest prospect to invest in. He just snapped that undefeated streak, but obviously a lot of fighters have lost their O this year, okay? I think Park's going to learn from it. I think that this is a very winnable opponent for him. Silva's kind of lingering outside the 14-15 range in the rankings from the day he was born to the day he dies, apparently, okay? And I feel like he's just getting up there in age. He's suffering from a bit of a height disadvantage here. Park, I feel like he's going to be more aggressive, and I feel like he's just going to be more of the long-term investment for the UFC. You know what I mean? Like, the guy, I feel like, is just younger. He's a finishing artist. He can mix into submissions, the knockouts. He's well-rounded. He gets the hell after it. He can hang at a good pace, and I feel like I can see him making not quick work of Silva. I think Silva, unless he's going against a crazy powerful guy, can be relatively durable here. So I think maybe I smell like a 30-27 or a 29-28, kind of competitive at times for Young Sung Park here, okay? I'm trusting him to get this one done. I feel like the Taira thing, I'm not going to let that overshadow his career here. I'm trusting in him, all right? I feel like he's more slick, more powerful, younger. Moving on up next to Charles Jourdain versus Davy Grant. This is an S-tier fucking crafty matchup here, but this is the feature prelim, and it is a banger. Davy Grant brings it damn near every time. One of the more underrated fighters on the roster. People forget, man, but the fact that he's almost 40 gives me hope for where I can be at 40, okay? And he's taking on Charles Jourdain, who 29 years old, 16-8 record, kind of one of these win one and then lose 2 fighters once he gets that kind of step up in competition. But Jourdain can bring it, man. There's a reason why this is a banger. Both these guys throw very high output on the feet. They can hang in a dogfight. They're solidly well-rounded. Like Charles Jourdain, people forget about that underrated guillotine. The guy throws insane output on the feet, but I feel like he lacks that kind of necessary knockout power or kind of pop behind his shots to really rock guys or really accumulate a bunch of damage. Because Davy Grant is durable. Davy Grant, it's hard to finish him. It's hard to beat him, okay? He can take out the youngs. He can take out the young prospects on the rise. He's coming off of a good win against Damone Blackshear. And in general, like, he's won pretty much his past 5 fights in a row. And then there's kind of that one in the middle where it was a close split decision. Some people thought Grant won. Some people thought he lost, whatever. But you either think Grant is 5-0 in his last 5 or 4-1 in his last 5. You get my point, okay? The point is That's very impressive to do when he's not facing just jobbers at the UFC level, and he's damn near 40 years old. So Grant, man, the fact that he's able to just seemingly either stay the same in terms of his skill set or keep on improving or just being able to hang in there against the young bucks every time, I rate that solidly, man. He's going to be my prediction to win. He's the underdog here. It's a concerning pick. I could see Jourdain being the guy, maybe to just crack him or catch him in some kind of submission, but also, Grant has just beaten a lot of guys that are on that skill set of Jourdain. And I think that Jourdain, yes, he's a solid fighter, but these Canadians, man, you can't really guarantee on them just because they're in the home country advantage. It's not really much of an advantage. We've seen so many Canadians lose in the hometown crowd. I think that Grant, I'm going to rate his striking a bit better here. I think that he can hang in a well-rounded scenario. I think he could survive defensively on the ground. I think for the most part, this fight's kind of going to be a stand-and-bang striking battle here, but I could see Jourdain maybe mixing it up. I could see Grant maybe mixing it up, but in general, man, I feel like both these guys have solid takedown defense for the most part. I would rate Davey Grant's defensive grappling, how he looks in the scrambles, and in general, his takedown defense a bit better. But in general, I get he's the underdog. I get he's getting up there in age, but I'm trusting Davey Grant to get this one done. I feel like on paper, his skill set just is better than Jourdain. I feel like Jourdain is very aggressive. He gets the hell after it in his own right. He's going to be hunting for some kind of finish. I feel like, again, if this really is just a striking battle, these guys are going to match each other fire for fire in the pocket, both throwing hundreds of strikes probably if their chins are able to hang, but I'm trusting Davey Grant to just have a little bit more in almost every regard. A little bit better at that striking, a little bit more powerful, a little bit more experience, and a little bit craftier at this stage in the game, all right? I'm going with the slight underdog here, and the young himself and Davey Grant. But I wouldn't be surprised if he comes up short, but hopefully not, you know what I mean? Moving on up next to Kyle Nelson versus Matt Frevola. We got a bit of a jobber versus jobber, gatekeeper versus gatekeeper kind of matchup here, Unk versus Unk. I'm kind of questioning how this fight specifically is opening up the main card once again for one of these fight nights, but regardless, it should be a banger. It should end in some kind of finish, and I'm going to be going with Matt Frevola as my pick here, okay? I think that Frevola is a bit more aggressive. I think he gets after it more in terms of trying to finish this fight, and I think he has more power behind his hands, whereas Nelson is a bit more technical with it, that Canadian boxing, and he's more comfortable with dragging it to a 29-28. But I think Frevola is going to find the chin of Nelson. Nelson's wins over the past few years, because he was on a 3-fight win streak right before getting knocked out by Steve Garcia last year. I can't even tell you who any of these people are, and I try and watch the fights every damn weekend, but these wins that Nelson is getting over Blake Bilder, Bill El Gallo, Marco Polo Reyes. Marco Polo in the UFC, bro, okay? I don't even know who these fuckers are. At least Matt Frevola, he's been in the UFC for just as long, but at least he's beating the Drew Dobers. At least he's racking up a lot of these finishes to where you gotta recognize the nasty KO power he has. He's a little bit older here. He's suffering from a little bit of a height disadvantage, but I'm still going with Frevola to just move forward, apply a heavier pressure than Nelson. Frevola's pushing him against the fence, and then obviously maybe finds that chin, okay, and it cracks up Nelson and gets maybe a round 2 or 3 KO. I see a later KO. I think that Nelson, for the most part, is going to be able to hang, and I don't think we're going to see too much grappling in this fight. Like, maybe these guys are going to try and mix it up, but I think it's primarily going to be a striker versus striker. But Nelson is kind of just built like an English teacher for high school, and Frevola is kind of built like someone who's 35 years old, and he's still getting taught by the same English teacher. He's still in high school. You got to question it, okay, Frevola, please. But I'm just saying, he's going to be my pick regardless. I think he's going to find the chin. He's going to be more aggressive instead of heavier pace. I think that he'll be able to handle here. Set kind of a dogfight, and I think Nelson's going to get knocked out in round 3. Okay, I'm going with Frevola here. Close odds, though, as well. Crazy close odds. Moving on up next to Cody Gibson versus Aoriqileng, okay? Aoriqileng, whatever it is, okay? I forgot that this dude was even on the damn roster, okay? He hasn't fought since last year, okay? Not the first to do so, but I'm going with Cody Gibson, the opposite man here, to get this one done. He's a bit of a slight favorite here, and again, I wasn't really kidding when I say that I forgot that Aoriqileng, or whatever the hell his name is, was part of the damn roster, okay? Not the most active fighter in the world here. I forget that the dude is 32 years old. I forget he's been in the UFC since around COVID. I get that both of these guys are kind of a win-one, lose-one kind of fighter, so people forget, man, truly. At the end of the day, though, they could be fighting for their position in the UFC, their job in the UFC at this point. But I just think that Gibson, yes, these guys are pretty similar in statures, and betting odds are close, their records are pretty similar, but you kind of forget that Gibson, even though he's getting up there in age, he's damn near 40 years old, he's reaching kind of that pinnacle Unk status, and I know he's not the craziest talent level in the UFC. I feel like his chin, he'll be able to hang with the hard-hitting shots of Aoriqileng, who I think is going to have the power advantage. I think that Aoriqileng It's gonna sound so dumb to you because I'm definitely saying his name wrong. I'm saying his name wrong as hell, okay? UFC has taught me how to say like Nikolai Varentenikov and like Khabib Nurmagomedov correctly, but I can't say this dude's name. God damn it, China. But regardless, I think that Gibson and his chin are gonna be able to hang with the power shots of Aoriqileng, okay? I feel like that, yes, the power could be concerning, but Gibson, usually he's getting dragged out to decisions or he's getting caught up in these submissions when he's just kind of uncomfortable on the ground. So I feel like that maybe he can pull away to some kind of decision win here and just kind of keep the fight standing. Obviously, the fight's primarily going to be standing. Maybe a Gibson, of all people, is going to be the one that want to really mix in the takedowns. He's been doing that lately with a few of his fights, but whether that's completely successful or not, it depends who you ask. But he's been trying to mix in the grappling lately in his past few fights. Maybe he'll do it again here. But I could just see him winning some kind of decision, just some kind of very oddly close split decision, sorry, that the commentators, saying how this is just that one prelim robbery. I could see this fight being that vibe, okay? I'm going to be going with Gibson ultimately to get this one done as the slight favorite, just kind of pulling away a little bit in the striking numbers and being able to hang on the feet to where I think he's going to win at 29-28, okay? Moving on up next, Cheeto Vera versus Ayman Zahabi. What a really hard one to predict, to be honest with you, okay? My prediction here is going to be Zahabi, and I'm really not confident in it, okay? I'm not really confident as dick in this one. It's a damn near pick'em fight. Cheeto, if he wins, I'm telling you right now, Zahabi is just going to look more technical, more precise. He's going to be ahead in the striking numbers, and he's going to be implementing a bit of the takedowns. He's going to look so good on the back foot, and Cheeto just can't catch him. He's just not quick enough. And then Cheeto's going to get some round 3 fucking head kick or some round 3 knockout. He just catches him when Zahabi's rushing on the inside. I don't know what it may be, but I feel like if Cheeto wins, it's going to be some sneaky third round or just late TKO in general, some brutal KO, maybe. Zahabi can be prone to getting caught in big exchanges, okay? His striking is solid. It's pretty decent. He relies on being on the back foot, but he's a good striker, and he brought a dogfight out against Aldo. I rate that pretty solidly, even though it's old man Aldo. So Zahabi, the striking is solid, and again, I enjoyed the fight with Aldo. It made me more of a fan of Zahabi compared to where before I just thought he was kind of that jobber. How'd this guy get in the rankings? You know what I mean? So Cheeto, man, I could see a late TKO. And Zahabi, I could see kind of a drawn-out decision, a crafty kind of 29-28. And I say crafty because, Jesus, Zahabi is the unk here. It seems like Cheeto's been in the UFC since the day he was born, and we've seen all 20 versions of him, okay? I mean that in terms of his looks, okay? He's like a kind of create-your-own me for the Wii, or he's like a create-your-own Sims character. It's like it's the same mold every time, but he's somehow different. But what you can rely on for Cheeto, okay, besides him showing up with a different skin pack every time, is the skill set, the way he strikes, the way he implements the game plan, the way he just fights in general, usually is the same every time, okay? He usually loses the first round. He's a slow starter, but he's got good cardio and a really good chin, so he gets better as the fight progresses. He gets more comfortable as the fight progresses, throws more output, but usually he's losing the first round. And Vera, he is very durable, great chin. I feel like he's not going to get knocked out here. There's a reason why I said if Zahabi wins, it's probably going to be a drawn-out decision here, but I just think that Vera, even though he's a slow starter, you think that he would get the hell after it sooner, but he just kind of lets these rounds slip away from him here. And I think that plays into Zahabi's favor, who's going to be waiting for some kind of technical chess match or some kind of striking battle or whatever the hell it may be. I don't think Cheeto, of all people, is going to be shooting fucking takedowns here, okay? And Zahabi, he's not really the type to either. So I feel like it's going to be primarily playing out on the feet here. And you could argue that's just 15 minutes for Cheeto to work and Cheeto to find that knockout. Cheeto can definitely get that knockout. He has more power. He has better finishing instincts. But man, when he's going to these pitter-patter decisions against the Pedro Munezes and shit like that, and he's kind of win one, lose one, I don't know, man. Zahabi, again, dogfight against Aldo, looked great, was able to hang in the pocket, took the fucking soccer kick from hell from Aldo, all that shit. Implemented great ground and pound for like the last 3 or 4 minutes of the fight. It was great, but I think that Vera might be a bit more one-dimensional than an Aldo, but he's definitely younger. He's definitely more in his prime. He definitely has a better chance of finishing and cracking a guy like Zahabi than Aldo did. And it's interesting, like, how much are we going to rate the Aldo win and base it off of in terms of Zahabi's skill set? It was a good win, but it's a bit of an old man Aldo. And Zahabi is 37 years old himself, and he's suffering from a bit of a reach disadvantage. I would say that, Vera, again, with the power advantage and with him being maybe a little bit more quicker and just more of that UFC experience, like, I could see him getting this one done, but I could see this being a turning of the tide, a turning of momentum for the division, and Zahabi kind of being that new name that enters the top 10. Probably someone that's never going to get a title shot or anything like that. Well, maybe with the state of the division. You got to have Marab calling him out. Hey, Zahabi, I know you just beat the shit out of Cheeto. Now it is time for your title shot, okay? I can see that, but I think Zahabi's just going to be a little bit more technical with it. He's durable, so I think he's going to take the best shots that Vera's going to bring. I think he's just going to be outstriking him. He's going to put more more pressure forward. Again, I know he relies on being on the back foot, but I still think that he's going to bring someone forward to Vera to where he's going to be ahead on the judges' scorecards. Vera's going to give him problems at moments. It is obviously dangerous just to strike with him, but we're going to see how it plays out, man. I'm trusting in Zahabi, though, here, okay? Wouldn't be surprised at all if Cheeto gets it done. It reeks of kind of that upset vibe here, but I'm trusting in Zahabi to just be a little bit more technical with it, a little more safe with it, and just barely pull away here with a close decision, okay? Moving on up next to the co-main event, dude, and talk about a fight where I've been thinking about this one for the past month or two, okay? It's really hard to predict. It's Kevin Holland versus Mike Mallott, dude. I don't think Mike Mallott's trying to lose in Canada once again, man. He bounced back with a win over, who was it, Charles Radke in his last performance. And what was it right before that, man? It was kind of that slow, drawn-out decision. I forgot who it was. It was over like the retired cop or the guy who's a cop, okay? And then right before that was the Neil Magny TKO loss. So Mallott is 2-0 in his last two. He's bounced back with a bit of momentum. People are taking him pretty seriously. Once again, it seems like the Neil Magny ground and pound upset isn't just going to overshadow his whole career, especially with that Jake Matthews recent bullshit, whatever the hell, but I feel like Mike Mallott, I'm still going to pick against him. He definitely should. I don't know, man. It's hard to say. I feel like he should win this one, but Mallott, I could just see him choking, and I could see Kevin Holland being the guy that just refuses to lose to a Canadian, that refuses to lose to Mike Mallott in Canada, okay? I could just see him, whether it's his ego or his desire to win or just the fact that he's fighting for fun, whatever the hell it is. I could see Holland talking shit to Mallott in the middle of the cage and just refusing to lose to a Canadian for the fuck of it, okay? Going in there representing the red, white, and blue for Holland. Regardless, jokes aside, bullshit aside, whatever the fuck, I'm kind of serious, man. I think that Holland on paper is the one who should be able to win this fight. He's longer, rangier, on paper more aggressive. Like Mallott at times, like the first round against Radke recently and the whole decision win right before that, last November, whatever it was, just kind of slow in moments for Mallott. Like he's comfortable with kind of just barely winning a round or barely losing a round and just kind of letting it, go on to the next. And with Holland, I feel like he's a bit more aggressive, a bit more output on the feet. Mike Mallott's a finisher for sure. Most of his wins in the UFC and in general are finishes, man, and he's solidly well-rounded. He can mix it up in the grappling, has solid striking, solid power behind his shots. I mean, I believe he knocked out Radke of all fucking things. So I think that Holland, though, man, Holland can match him fire for fire. Again, the fact that he is just a bigger dude and the fact that he's coming back down to welterweight for this one, I favor that physically for Holland, okay? I'm not saying he's going to get a decision win here. I'm not saying he's going to get a fucking 45-70 on the judges' scorecards, but I sense some kind of finish for Holland. I feel like he's going to set a pretty good pace. He's got solid cardio and a really underrated good chin to be able to hang with the best shots of Mallott, in my opinion. Now, it gets tricky. Here's the fucking thing, you guys, because he did get knocked down by D-Rod. D-Rod is knocking down Kevin Holland and putting on fight of the goddamn year against him, of all things, before GTA 6, okay? Just such a bizarre look for Holland, okay? It was a very close fight, but D-Rod won of all things. I picked Holland to win that fight. A lot of people did. I was riding like an 8-fight streak in a row of picking Holland fights correctly, okay? I had him as a lock, and then boom, now he just fucks that up. And now he's just like, there's such a slight underdog against Mallott, and it's like, if D-Rod's beating Holland, even if D-Rod's a bit underrated right now at this stage in the game, it's still Daniel fucking Rodriguez, man. It's still the young of all longs. I get it's the year of the youngs or whatever, but you get my point. It's a rough look. It's a rough loss. If that didn't happen, I'd be more confident in general with going with Holland. But I feel like regardless, I'm not going to put all that emphasis on just D-Rod knocked him down and D-Rod made it scrappy. Like Holland almost finished him. Holland made it competitive. It is what it is. This is his 5th fight this year. He's being active as hell. And I feel like he does have the tools to beat Mallott, man. He's going to be able to hang in the scrambles. I feel like if anything, he's the one that can get a submission. He's the one that can implement some takedowns here. If he's going to do it or not, that's a different question. Usually Holland just wants to stand and bang on the feet for the people. Like he's the people's champ, for Christ's sake. He's giving them the people's eyebrows. But regardless, I'm trusting in Holland. It's risky because people say you don't know which version of Holland's going to show up each time, but really, man, I feel like he should be able to get this one done. I feel like he's going to be more aggressive. I think he's going to be able to either pull away on the judges' scorecards and get a 29-28 by just throwing a little bit more output or just finding the better shots, cracking Mallott, looking good in the scrambles or takedown defense-wise, whatever it may be. And if this is just a striking battle, I could see Holland getting like a late round 2 TKO or something like that. You know what I mean? But I'm trusting in, I feel like the better striking, the more aggressive striking, the more powerful striking of Holland. And Holland's well-rounded. Holland's durable. So Mallott is still still a good prospect. Don't get me wrong. He's still 12-2. He's still a good fighter, okay? He can definitely get this one done. There's a reason why he's the favorite. Now, again, I'm not just going to shit on him because of the Neil Magny loss. Holland lost to fucking Daniel Rodriguez like it was yesterday. But in general, both these guys are looking to pull away with some kind of momentum, some kind of win, and I'm trusting Holland to be the one to do that, okay? Moving on to the big mad main event. And I'm kind of hurt, man. I'm kind of hurt because I do wish it was Fluffy Hernandez in there. Him versus RDR just had that big fight feel, but it is what it is, brother, okay? We got DeRitter versus Allen. I'm shocked that DeRitter isn't a bigger favorite. I don't know what the odds are on your screen, but on mine, DeRitter's like a minus 180, okay? He's probably going to keep growing a little bit. He'll probably be like a minus 220 when it's all said and done, something like that, but I think there's value on that. I'm going with DeRitter as my prediction. I think DeRitter's going to get it done via a round 2 TKO, okay? I just rate DeRitter highly here, man. I feel like that this guy had a good chance to beat Fluffy. I know he was supposed to be a big underdog, but I feel like he had a good chance to beat Fluffy. People are saying if DeRitter wins 1 or 2 more, he's going to be Chimaev's toughest test. And I do rate DeRitter highly, but I think that Chimaev's kind of in a league of his fucking own at this point. Who the hell knows how he's going to lose? But for this matchup specifically, I trust in RDR's skill set and the fact that he's older, more in his prime, on a great win streak, more momentum, active as fuck, to where Allen, I respect him for taking this opportunity, but I just think that RDR is the superior fighter here. Brendan Allen's solid, man. Don't get me wrong. He's definitely ranked level. He's got a good record. He looks good in the scrambles. His grappling is good against most of the division. He could beat you up with some kind of ground and pound or some kind of submission entry. He'll find the way, okay? His grappling is good against most guys. And against Marvin Vittori, you know, that was a bit of a striking battle. And even then, that was a pretty fun fight. Allen has underrated striking. This guy was piecing up Nasruddin Imavov at times, okay? Piecing up Fluffy Hernandez at times. But here's what I'll say about that. Here's the fucking thing, you guys. The fight IQ of Allen has kind of shot him in the foot here. Like, he makes these poor decisions in the scrambles, or the poor decisions whether to strike or whether to grapple at just seemingly the wrong times, and he either is getting finished because of it or just getting, you know, he's losing these kind of close 29-28s that really could have went the other way, but they don't, man, because Allen kind of made these poor decisions. On paper, and just in general in terms of how he fights, he's a good fighter. He can bring it. He's honestly kind of underratedly entertaining at times, okay? I rate the grappling pretty solidly. I think that he can find a submission against a lot of guys in the rankings. And the striking's underrated, but RDR, man, is so good in the clinch. The mean, nasty knees to the body. He's throwing elbows up top. The fact that he can mix up with the grappling, but his striking is good, and he's good in the clinch. Like, RDR is so versatile. He's not the most dynamic or quick fighter in the world. If anything, you know, RDR just has that goofy style, man. Like, he's literally like the 7th X of that Scott Pilgrim movie, to where he's the final boss. He's the final boss in any goofy-ass movie you'll see, dude, okay? RDR, if he gets this one done, him versus DDP for the Goofy Goober Championship, okay? In general, though, man, even though on paper RDR has that really goofy skill set, it's sloppy, and this is the first time he's ever been a favorite in the UFC, so the odds makers clearly are kind of picking against RDR consistently. They don't trust in him, but really, man, he finds a way to just get it done. His only 2 losses, I believe, in his MMA career were at heavyweight of all things. I feel like middleweight's a great mold for him, and I feel like this guy's just going to be a bit more well-rounded, more aggressive than Allen, just bigger, have more prowess inside the cage, more options to get it done, and options to be able to mix it up. He's slightly taller in height and he's slightly longer in reach, so he's got the size advantage. So I think that RDR is going to hunt some kind of finish. Allen could get aggressive with it. Allen can mix in the takedowns. Allen can hold his own in the striking in this fight, okay? But I just trust in RDR to just get it done, man. I feel like he's going to be able to hang in a dogfight. I feel like he's going to look for some kind of ground and pound, just try and get the fight nastily in the clinch. It's not like some kind of boring fighter who's just trying to coast out the control time or coast out, you know, pushing you against the fence in the clinch or just like racking up a bunch of bullshit that the fans don't want to see. RDR is constant kind of moving forward, hunting for some kind of finish, okay? Trying to just piece you up, whatever it may be. He's trying to cause damage or finish the fight damn near constantly, okay? Again, against a guy like Whitaker, it can get kind of hairy at moments, but Whitaker's elite, dude. It's so hard to beat Whitaker, and say whatever you want about how some people thought RDR lost that fight, but still, man, it was competitive. It was a good win, and I just rate RDR's wins kind of like a win over Whitaker is a better win than any win that Allen has had yet in the UFC, okay? So Allen can maybe get this one done, but I'm trusting in RDR to kind of just have a little bit more everywhere, okay? A little bit more power on the feet and just a little bit more of that, yes, goofy striking, but it's efficient striking, and then can mix it up in the clinch, can mix it up in the grappling to hold his own against Allen, who obviously that's his bread and butter. So I think RDR is going to get this one done via a round 2 finish, okay? Via, I don't know, some kind of TKO. That's what I'm feeling here, all right? And moving on now to the blanks of the card. We got the underdog of the card, the locks of the card, the wild card of the card, and the card rating. All of them are self-explanatory, but I'll get to it as I get to it here. Starting off with my underdog of the card. Which one of my underdog picks am I the most confident in? I believe I only went with a couple. I feel like the most significant being like Davy Grant and Kevin Holland here, but I'm gonna go with Kevin Holland. It's risky for sure, dog, okay? It's damn near a pick 'em fight, and Kevin Holland's coming off a loss. He's very active, and it's like I could see Mallott kind of choking and losing here, or Holland kind of choking and losing. I don't know, and it's a hard one to call. I've been going back and forth about it, but I'm gonna say Holland's my underdog of the card. Fuck it, dude, okay? I got Figueiredo right last week, and I'm hoping I can keep the ball rolling with Kevin Holland getting it done this week, okay? Moving on now to my locks of the card. Which of my picks am I the most confident in? And I believe that these dudes are not losing, okay? Renier de Ritter, I immediately got to throw you on here, so I'm putting RDR on here. I'm going to throw on Drew Dober here for sure. I think Drew Dober is going to knock out Kyle Prepolec, man. I feel like, again, there's a reason why he's a massive favorite. I'm going to go with Azamat Bekoev as well. So I'll do Azamat Bekoev, Drew Dober, and Renier de Ritter. I'll keep it as those three, man. I'm considering putting Park on here, but I could see Silva getting some kind of upset there. So I'll keep it as those three locks, all right? Bekoev, Dober, and RDR, all right? Moving on up next to my wild card of the card, who's somebody that's kind of being overlooked, overshadowed, not really picked, but they definitely can get it done. And if they somehow are able to, it would be a big statement. They could shake up the rankings, the division, whatever it may be. I'll go with Vera, man. I mean, he's been very inactive lately, so we really might just be people forget Manning, okay? We might just be not realizing that I mean, there's a reason why the betting odds are so close. He could definitely get this one done. We might just be not realizing how good really is. A lot of us aren't really picking him. A lot of people are going with Zahabi. It's not to say that like 90% of us are going with Zahabi, but I feel like is being a bit overlooked. He is the underdog here, okay? So I got to keep that into account, and I can just really see him getting it done. I got like that kind of like suspicion in the air. There's someone smelling like, do you smell what the Rock is cooking? Kind of energy in the air to where getting out some kind of late knockout here. So I'm going to put as my wild card of the card. I'm not picking him. He's not my pick, but I could see it, you know what I mean? And moving on to the card rating, what am I going to rate this card from 1 to 10? And obviously, I rate the pay-per-views a little bit harder. A 5 out of 10 pay-per-view is going to be better than a 5 out of 10 fight night, all right? I'll give this a 7. I'll give it a 7, man. I could have maybe given it that 7.5, maybe close to an 8, something if Fluffy still stepped in for the main event, but it is what it is. We got a solid main event, solid co-main, feature fight, even a fun WMMA fight on the main card I didn't cover, but Vera and Judah Vicious. And I feel like, again, the prelims are kind of solid. Jourdain versus Grant, Silva versus Park, ranked flyweight fight, you know what I mean? Barlow, Santos, Drew Dober's on there, Bekoev's on there, you know what I mean? You got a couple of WMMA fights in general, but it is what it is, man. I feel like the prelims are looking solid. The main card is solid. The main event could just be a little bit better, just a little bit something, but it is what it is, man. And the fact that this is in Canada, the fact that Canada is getting a good fight night, I mean, I'm sure they can't complain, man, okay? So I'm definitely going to give this one around that 7 out of 10 territory, okay? I like it. I'm excited for it. So there's stuff to complain about, but not too much in the grand scheme. You know what I mean? I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Good card, but obviously could be deeper with the name value and the matchups, whatever it may be, okay? 7 out of 10, my boys. And that's going to be it for the end of this Yap session here, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, man, and giving me your time and attention and just rocking with me and just making it this far in the video. Jesus, you know what I'm saying. Leave your opinions in the comments below. Who were your picks? Who were your locks? Who were your underdogs? Where was I right and where was I wrong? Well, we're going to find out, but let me know in the comments below. And as usual, my boys, whether you're subscribed or not subscribed, like this video, don't like this video, whatever, okay? I appreciate y'all a lot, man. Thank you so much for making it this far. All the smoke here. Have a good time watching the Lucas and the Guru and the Bedtime collab this weekend and watching the card in general. All the smoke here. Have a good one, boys. I appreciate y'all, and I'll see you all next time.